a lot of days off. You got a wife that can do that.
That's right.
Yeah, your mother never did.
Live and streaming.
Okay.
So, the time is now 6:38, Tuesday, January 17th, as per the holiday on the Monday. So, I would open the meeting as per usual with the Pledge of Allegiance. Uh-oh. Where'd our flag go?
Can't we pretend right behind the thing?
I think I did.
That's funny.
There's one right there. Just out of sight. In the case.
Aha, there we go.
Oh, in the cake.
Okay.
We've got it back.
What the heck was that?
All right.
Town administrator to the rescue.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
That's what they said.
Dave Hemingway, Chair of the Select Board.
Marlo Herrick.
Normandy Blake.
All right. And announcements. Do we have announcements?
Well, I have a couple announcements. One is the next meeting on February 6th, which is Monday, February 6th. Neil Cass from Hopkinton is going to be here
Perfect.
to talk about the transfer station. He and I have talked a lot about the transfer station, so I think it'll be good of him to kind of update you on a lot of things.
Very good.
Also, I received today a copy of the RFP for the White Plains project.
Very good.
There are a few minor changes that I'm having done. We are.
What's an RFP?
Request for proposals,
Oh, okay.
which is the project, well, I'll let you read. Let you
Much
read
like an
this.
RFQ.
But,
Yeah, but never a dumb question.
No,
so
there's never a
No,
dumb
that
question,
too.
ever.
Chad, Emmett, and I have talked about this for some time, so I'm really happy to see it,
The going construction summary and all that stuff.
so,
So it looks good, huh?
Awesome.
yeah.
You can look at it first.
I'll let the person with the most road experience.
That's scary, isn't it?
So it looks like it's actually gonna happen, which is nice,
Next spring, next spring.
I hope, you know.
Clothespin Bridge, though, we haven't really had a sit-down or anything.
No, it probably is time to see if he'll come back in. I mean, I did hear that they had hired an appraiser to do, that's the next step, you know, to
Yeah, they
work with
mentioned that
people.
was the.
I haven't seen anybody.
But, no, and I don't think anyone else has either.
Yeah, I don't think so
But,
either.
And I think part of it is the funding, how that works.
Oh, I don't know, it's
Quite-
federal, so who the heck knows
it's
how
quite-
that works?
Yeah.
There's a lot of extra stuff.
Right, dotting the i's and
When do we
crossing.
have to have you through the extra federal stuff by?
I have asked him that, and he hasn't told me that, so I said, well, let me know. And, you know,
Good question, Dave.
Either way, whenever the next one is, we
yeah,
should do it.
yeah, sometime while I'm still upright.
Yeah, right.
What's the federal government? It
Yeah.
might not be for another 10 years.
But anyway. So that was,
Looks great. I mean, pretty straightforward.
it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty simple.
Gotta have a bid bond, so it's not like somebody just throws something in. Thinks they can.
He's planning to meet with Emmett and me and talk about how he's gonna mail out, who might get
Oh, it won't be listener,
packages.
cause,
Well, I think that too, but I think that Emmett wanted to just kind of make sure he knew who would be getting
yeah,
packages. And then they'll have a meeting, a pre-bid meeting up at the
Yep.
site, and
I didn't flip it over.
then we'll bring it back.
Just the back is that they'll have a pre-bid conference to
Yeah.
tell them about it and then instructions on where to submit.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So that, and it was funny because of the department head meeting today, Emmett asked me about that. So when I went to ask Chad, and I had an email from him, because when he had met with us in December, he had told me the timeline, so he was on it. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, right,
Awesome.
cause he said right around this time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only announcements that I have.
good to me.
Good.
All right. Yes, it is. So my announcement would be the reminder that tomorrow at 7 PM is the second of the public hearings for community power that's being put on by the Energy Committee. That'll be right up here as well. Last time we had a wonderful conversation with the two people that showed up. Hopefully we get more with more questions, because it was very good, and we were able to answer a lot of questions, and so hopefully that happens again, but with more people. Do you have any announcements?
The only announcement I have is I received a phone call, an email, that the sign that we are proposing to put in front of the public safety building,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to purchase it or sign some sort of an agreement with them, it's a 15% discount for the month of January and 10% for the month of February. And he says along with other discounts. So I'm trying to pin him down some kind of an exact price, and just so you'll have an update.
Sounds good.
Do we have to sign off, or the selectmen have to sign, or we don't have to sign off on that?
Well, we gave
We
the
haven't even-
direction for it,
Yeah.
and so when we
We-
get purchase orders or something is when we would either sign off or make motions,
But we don't have
et
to
cetera.
talk to him or anything, that's all between the chiefs and,
Yeah.
Just,
You can be as
if I can
involved as
save
you
us some
want to
money.
be showing up to
Yeah.
it, but.
it's not my forte.
But you haven't approved it.
No.
Yeah,
it's
no,
going
no.
from the planning board.
Planning board's
Correct.
Thursday.
Yeah, so we were putting that through there. The other announcement, and I'm gonna get the dates wrong, but, so I won't say the dates, other than end of this month and beginning of February. If you want to be one of us, take my place, or you wanna do any of the other elected official positions, a lot of them are on the ballot, and that's the time to sign up to run and put your name on the ballot, so please go do so.
It's January 25th through the 3rd of February.
25th through the 3rd.
And who do they see? Because usually you'd see Michelle, right?
Now, I believe after this meeting, they might see Nancy Webster.
Okay.
Yeah. It will either be the town clerk, or they can, the form does not have to be in person to the clerk, so they could also fill out the form with, for example, Dana. who
Oh,
can
okay.
Give
Yeah.
it to an acting or assistant clerk,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Perfect.
So,
Which probably means most people see us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that covers announcements, unless there's other announcements from the board.
No, don't have anything.
All right. So that moves us on to old business, starting with the proposed warrant articles.
I had given you suggested warrant articles in your packet. So the articles that are going to be voted on at the voting part of the meeting, which is March 8th, will be to choose the town officers. And an article to update the flood plain regulation in the zoning regulation, which is as mandated by the state. So if you notice, if you were to read this and you would say, huh? And I guess the best thing, other than having a 24-page ballot, we thought we'd just kind of maybe have these available so when the people come in, they can see them, and Russ will publicize it prior to the meeting and so forth, to get it out. The state gave me language, which is how it is. So that's, and you know, I think that it's hopefully encourage people to read it at their leisure. I know from voting for a long time, I get through half of it, and then I'm like, but anyway.
So being that that says that it's from the planning board, are they gonna stand up and speak and like say, this is the changes that don't change anything?
Well, they've
other
had
than
a
we stay
public
in
hearing on
compliance?
this, and they were required to have a public hearing, which they've
Right.
done their part. But this will be on the ballot, so people will just be coming in to vote. So they won't be an
Oh, this
opportunity.
won't be, so this isn't at
These,
town meeting?
this one is at the part of the town meeting that's on voting day.
Okay, so it's ballot
Not at
only,
the
it's
business
not
meeting,
discussion,
no.
okay.
Yeah. Which is where, it's too bad, because I think it would be easier for people to understand if it was that on the floor, but.
But
it's not
they
how-
should be at our fake town meeting, our preliminary town meeting
Yes.
that we're gonna hold, so maybe we should request that they be there.
Yeah, and assuming that this is our working document, we don't have the giant in bold by ballot at the end of that number, so we
Okay.
should make sure that's
Yeah,
there.
This is a
yeah.
working document, so I will speak to whoever does this. Severely, it won't be nice. The remaining articles are for the business meeting, which is going to be the 18th. So the first article that's there is talking about the town clerk. And if you want to put in an article with the amount of compensation and make it clear that it will not have benefits. And I don't know if I've worded this really well. I've struggled with this because the attorney has said, the way to alter this, as we discussed, the way to alter this is change the compensation number of the town clerk budget portion of the town's operating budget. So if we went that route, I get it. As the town clerk's health insurance is not in the town clerk's operating budget, it cannot be visibly removed. Well, it's in the insurance budget, is where we do it. So the best way to approach not having health insurance coverage for the next town clerk is simply to specify what the entire elements of that new town clerk's compensation are, which will not include health insurance. Which makes me think that we need a warrant article.
I would assume so.
And-
And that would certainly make it clear to everybody, too.
And I think that's what I've heard you say in the past, is that it's about, and I don't really know how binding that 2019 warrant article goes. First of all, it was designed with a whole nother situation in mind. But I'm not married to this wording.
Now,
I think it needs to be a little gentler, maybe.
I assume that we will have further discussions about the town clerks, since we have
We are working on it, yes.
resumes and so on. And I would certainly want whoever is
Fine.
at least applied and said that they want to do it, to be speaking about this. Whether it's that they'd rather have the cash versus the benefits or whatnot, to say that like, hey, please support this because it does make sense. And I want it, as opposed to it looking like we're trying to screw whoever it is, which we're not.
Which, when
So-
you put out, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you put out what, the position, what did you offer? Just,
I didn't offer anything because I didn't have any.
okay,
No.
so you pretty much just said the position's
We'll need
open.
it.
Right.
But they may be thinking it may be following what was already in place.
I have
possibly.
had people ask me what the last town clerk was paid.
Yeah,
And so obviously it's public information, so
Oh,
that,
yeah, it's public
you know,
information.
that was no problem. But I also said that, you know, we'd have to do some negotiation.
And she was here a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different
Different,
thing. So if, in fact, we chose to keep this warrant article here, and I'm hoping to have these nailed down by the 7th of February, which is when we're having our public hearing. That would mean that we'd have to, if that article passed, we'd have to amend the operating budget, if that's where it's coming from. Or else you're raising it twice.
So the way that I've seen it done before is that operating budget just has a 0 or a 1 sitting in it, and then the amount comes from the warrant article, not from the operating budget?
Well, here's my thought on that. Obviously, this article is the entire operating budget.
Right.
If you don't, what would happen if number 3, for example, did not pass? And,
Yes.
you know, so I'm just thinking of that. I don't think that's gonna be the case,
They
but I'm
wouldn't be able
just,
to register anything.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna be the case, but that's why.
Well,
Well.
no, because if leaving the $1 or whatever, or maybe the 2019 amount, for example, sitting in that line item, just the fact that there is a line item, we can adjust and move things into it as needed from other locations, even if the warrant article doesn't pass.
Yes, you can do that, such as the police budget, maybe, yeah.
But
Could be.
the thing that I think we should have the warrant article, whether it's this way, whether it's with or without benefits, what the amount is, which is blank right now. I think that should all be figured out, but I think in order to make everything clear to everybody, I think we should have the warrant article that says this is what it is, and it's this going forward until such times as there's another warrant article that changes it.
Okay.
Because then it's, 'cause the argument that was made by several people was that the select board should never touch the clerk's stuff. And that's what came out what was it, last year or the year before that, when we got yelled at? But
You
it
know,
was,
and I hear what you're
We should never
saying.
touch the clerk's stuff, and the proper way to do that is, here's the warrant article, this is the
Yeah.
change from the previous year, but this is the same warrant article you've seen with a different number, vote for it.
I
And if
think
you
because
wanted
of
to
history,
hire
you're
a lawyer,
telling me
do it.
this, you know.
Yeah.
However, and I have to say this, the selectmen run the money,
Yes,
and that's,
but that would be the easy way to allow it to just be,
I understand.
Natural in a sense.
yeah.
Although we'd have to do it, I mean,
Because if we're gonna do it the other way, then we need to include that other language that says pursuant to select board for compensation, which everybody freaked out at, and not just the clerk.
maybe that wording wasn't the wisest. In hindsight, we always learn from these things. You know, maybe we could have worded it a little differently.
So-
I think that was a very sensitive
Yeah.
issue and so forth, but,
So I think
okay.
we need a warrant article, I think it's the appropriate way to do it and be the most transparent and clear to everybody, including the new clerk, who I certainly hope stands up and says, this is why I want it to be this way.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And I think that's the most fair way to do it. Whether it's this or a different warrant article, it should definitely be a town clerk compensation
Warrant
article.
Okay, all right. Getting to the operating budget, so you don't think it's necessary to put, if that passes, to, at the 2019 town meeting, Jamie Dow got up and amended the budget on the floor, which anyone can do.
Anyone can do,
Yeah.
right.
They did that at the last one too, for energy usage.
They did
Yeah,
that for energy
yeah,
use
I was
last
gonna
year.
say, yeah.
And I think we did another small little change or something.
We got extra money.
Well, they gave us the energy and we just kind of dispersed it through the accounts. It
Oh,
was
I know
unfair.
what it was.
Because they
It
didn't
was
add
that,
it to a
it
line.
was that donation to Pennacook,
Oh, yes, we got
yeah.
rid of that.
Yeah. All right. 5 and 6, these are the ones you had gone through these from the recommendation from the Capital Improvement Committee.
Yep.
7 is the contingency fund, if you wanna continue that.
My only comment on the contingency fund, which I think we should be doing and continuing, is that if we are amending the budget based on the clerk values, then this number would also change. So we'll have to make sure that we're ready to amend that to an
Well,
appropriate
the
number.
contingency fund's funky, because this is based on the previous budget.
Oh, I thought it was current.
Well, I did too at one time, but I have been proven wrong. And
Okay.
it's
And it's the fund balance.
It's fun, F-U-N, yeah.
We always forget the D.
We
I
did,
was
we did
fairly
not
confused
use,
at first. I thought fund balance, where are we going?
yeah.
Unfortunately, for that amount, not very far.
I know, right? Well, that's the truth, yeah.
The next one is, I assume you're supporting the dam payment for the, village water district.
Mm-hmm.
9 and 10, I got a,
I know it's asked every year, can we, whether or not, and here's, I guess, the double question for this. First, no matter how it's done, I'd like it to be in the warrant article saying when they're done with this bond.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good
Yeah, me
idea.
too.
Because I know it's asked every year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
usually there's 3 or 4 answers until a couple people come to a consensus. So
Well.
we should have that in the warrant article.
it is 2026.
Oh, that's not
And
far.
my second question, especially being that it's close and that it's always been the same amount, can we write it as a warrant article that appropriates the funds for each year? Like, we'd appropriate the 10,000 plus an addition of 10,000 into the operating budget until the conclusion of the bond, so that we don't have to see it each year.
You can't do anything in the future,
Okay.
yeah.
But nice try.
I had to ask,
Yeah.
Right. Here, we're stepping.
just because then they know.
I mean,
for
the only
their
things that go in the
and-
future, if you have like a,
Yeah,
like a union contract, or you have something like that.
Gotcha.
yeah, which the school is doing. They're gonna have a warrant article for that,
Yeah.
for yet another
I
collective
mean,
bargaining
it's-
increase.
I'm glad, I don't miss that, I'll tell you. I was on negotiations for all of, just about the 30 years I was on the school board. I mean, that's a really tough thing.
Are there any others that you think should be in here?
So, see, I actually want you to cover the other ones, because you mentioned something briefly about them at the start, and I was surprised. So
You mean 9 and 10?
Yes.
That was, I received a notice from the DRA that to put these on our warrant articles, to readopt the optional veterans credit and to readopt the all veterans credit, which is actually the same as what we offer now. So I have a question into DRA saying, why are we doing that? And all I can think of, Dave mentioned it, is that there may have been a slight change in the law in the RSA.
Bosquen doing the same thing.
Yeah,
They got the same 2 articles, yep.
they have the same DRA.
Yeah, right, well, so
I'm
it's
glad I'm not
we're
the only one.
Right, they're not picking on us, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But anyway, I mean, I would like to know the reason so it can be explained to people why
Yeah.
we're doing
Well, you
that.
mean, yeah, when they say what,
You
does
know.
that mean?
So I do have a couple suggestions. Oh, that's why, because I already had it open. So I asked Russ to collate a couple numbers together for the exemptions and credits that we have. And the veterans are credits, and all of the others are exemptions for certain amounts off of their property value for taxation purposes.
Being a
And
veteran and all.
so there are, let's see, 16 of the solar ones, and I'll cover those because they're kind of their own thing. And then there are 4 for blind and elderly. And then for veterans, there's a total of 9 total disabled vets, which I was surprised we had that many that were totally disabled. Sorry, but thank you. And then there's another 98 covering the war vets and all veterans, which you can't get both of at the same time. So we have a fairly high veteran count town, which I think everybody knew, but those are the numbers for the exemptions and credits that we have going. The thing that I wanted to mention is we have, therefore, credits for all of the ones that are put forth from the state as part of RSAs to do, except for one, and that is deaf. And obviously, I have some bit of experience there. But my suggestion is that we should adjust the blind exemption, of which there's only one currently, and I have no idea who it is, and also add the deaf exemption at the same time. And the way that that is currently in the RSAs is that it's $15,000 worth of $15,000 worth of exemption off the price of the property. And then so basically you wouldn't be taxed on that much that you have. They also suggest in the RSA that towns should adjust this amount and adjust it up from there when property values increase, which of course we're gonna have our revaluation this year. It's the right time to do it if we're gonna do it. So my suggestion is that we up the value from 15 to 20, do it while also adopting deaf at the same time. The other one that we have the ability to look at those valuations and adjust is the elderly one. And that was last done, I know I had it, but I don't, it's not in front of me right now. But I think that was last done in like 2016 or 18. And so we should look at the values of that and adjusting those values upwards as well, just to maintain kind of the status quo of what it was meant to do.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion. It would be additional warrant articles, but in the same vein as let's make sure everything's up to date kind of all at
Yeah,
once.
and kind of across the board fair in a sense.
Yeah. And so that would be my suggestion. I don't know what the board thinks of that. To put that in slight perspective, if it's that $20,000 worth, based on the averages that the town has had for tax rates between 5 and 6, it's somewhere around $100 per person that submits in taxation.
Yeah.
So not much, but.
No, and I mean, every penny counts, and we're doing stuff now even with historical, barns and stuff, so
Yeah.
I feel like that's fair is fair.
I just
You know?
was writing this down for Boswell, is up in their things too this
Oh.
year, yeah.
Very
I wish I had known we were talking, I'd have brought it. I can't remember the figures offhand, but I know they're up in the thing, so.
And I know that a lot of this is town specific. So for example, with elderly, there's often an income requirement, or I
Yep.
should say cap for the income
Yep,
on
that's,
it.
yep,
And then the elderly portion also has, what's really interesting is that there's 3 levels. So there's
Oh,
the,
really?
like, if
Oh,
you're
that's
over
right, the
65,
ages,
if you're
right.
over
Yeah.
75.
That's
if
exactly
you're
what I
over
was writing
85.
Yeah.
about.
And so at the different levels, it changes
Yep.
too. And so I think we should look at that and
I can send a
figure out
copy of
makes the
what they're
most
doing in
sense.
Bosquen to us too, I can.
Sure.
Yeah, then we can
If nothing else, it's worth comparing and
Yeah.
seeing how we already or will
Yeah.
line up, et cetera.
and it's funny, cause that's what I just was doing, and they're up in their stuff too,
Mhm.
so. But they're also, and the other thing is, the property values are gonna be like, they were talking Bosquen, going up probably 30 to 50%. So I think that'll probably, who knows what'll happen here too.
Well, if you look at our revaluation, and that's not the same as, but kind of roughly related to the equalization
Yeah.
that we have. We were in around 75%, so we can expect a 20% increase
Yeah.
most likely, for all the valuations throughout town.
Well, look what the houses are going for,
Mm-hmm.
selling for now, I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
So, if your average property value went from, say, 200, let's say 300 to 450, I mean, yeah, that's a 50% increase, but,
But if the tax rate could either go down too, because if all the values are going
well, as the
up,
values go up, the tax rate does go down.
will go down, so.
I just hope that 1991 doesn't repeat itself, because I can remember we
Oh,
had just
so did I.
gotten through a reval. 1991 came and the values dropped, and is very hard to explain to people,
Mm.
why we had their house assessed at X and they can only sell it for X.
But I don't think if that
The other
happens.
way
then
around,
It's gonna be
people
the other,
accepted it,
yeah,
yeah.
right, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen that before too, when people say, they were all mad because of the valuation. I said, well, sell me your house for what it was valued before. Oh, no, I won't do that. So from previous, so, you know,
I used
it
to do-
works,
that
that's
was
the
one of
way it
my
works.
favorite questions, when
Yes.
people would come with abatements, and I'd say, would you sell it? You know, and they would come, first of all, they weren't assessors or
Yeah, right.
appraisers. And I understand that, I'd try it too, but, you know, would you sell it for that? Well, you know, and then you knew that.
I asked that
Yeah.
same question,
Yeah.
yes, I have.
But anyway, that's, so are we gonna review what you might suggest for the elderly, tiers?
Yeah, I think we should talk, I don't have numbers in front of me for it, but I thought that that was an appropriate, especially since I saw the
So maybe
others.
by the 6th, we'll have some more information, you could talk about it at that
Yeah,
meeting?
I think we can work on numbers and,
Okay.
I
and
can-
I'll get the Boscawen
Right,
thing from
right,
to
yeah.
you. She'll send, probably should send that to you, so you've
And
got
then
a
you could
copy
sell
of
it to
it too.
everybody, yeah, right.
Okay,
Yes, I will.
super. Anything else? We had said that you were going to suggest to the Historical Society they put in
Yes.
for a petition.
Yeah, I would really like to see it done that way. 'Cause or I should say, that's what most people seem to want to do as the board, because I wanted to just add it to the budget, but that didn't go over.
But
so.
I really think it's good for them to get out in
Yeah.
front and keep it in people's minds, you
The
know?
PR
And
makes
new
sense.
people are always coming into town, and so it's a good PR, it's a good PR thing. And they get their money, so, you know, it just takes a little bit more time.
They're ready to present it. anyway.
Yeah, they know what they're doing now.
Yeah,
They've done it before, they
Yeah.
can do it, and they've got a lot to talk about that they just completed
Yeah,
this year,
that's
this
right.
past year, so.
Yeah.
Reopening the meeting house and all of that, which was a really good presentation too when they did it.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with names, but the gentleman that did it was really good. Do we have anything further for a warrant or budget discussions?
I've got budgets here.
Okay.
And I don't know if you'd like, I don't know how to make this less
Make it
cumbersome.
We've kind of covered a lot of it. anyway.
You've approved most of it, but
Yeah.
we have a change I made in the election.
They're really good for the paper business.
Oh, I know, I have killed trees all over town, you know, you know? Well, I think of you, Marlo. I
I'm
think,
sure
okay,
you do.
You know?
Sorry about that, but
On page
It's in
8,
business.
this is my I had to
Page
number
eight,
these because I
okay.
couldn't figure out how to get it up on the computer.
I hate that.
In training, mileage and supplies, you had approved 860, but I added 5,000 to that with the idea of a new clerk would need training. And I'm not even sure if that's enough.
how much did you add?
5,000. We had 860 before.
Oh, okay.
Also in that budget, the stipend, that number probably is going to change.
Yeah, so the training mileage and supplies is mileage and supplies, so I think it probably more like, yeah, we can up it some with maybe make it 1,000 instead of 860. But I think the rest of that, rather than there's a clerk workshops and conventions, which is where they would traditionally get their training, and that's at $755, but had previously, I guess, been at 14 and change, and was, I think, down because Michelle had just finished all of her
Yeah, she
her
finished
last
the
workshop
certification,
certification thing. So I would suggest that that would be the line that should go up for additional workshops and conventions.
Because you're going to have to pay Avatar, probably it's going to cost $5,000 for them to do that.
Yeah.
So I can take that out of workshops,
Well-
even though it's not really a workshop?
Well, training mileage and supplies is, maybe we remove mileage and just make it training and supplies?
Or I could set a new account just for training.
I think that's what the workshops and conventions, maybe we just add training to that, so it's clerk workshops, conventions and training.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
Because that's
the-
obviously what that one's for.
And I suppose we could point it out, but I'm thinking the only reason you might wanna have its own thing is to, so you're very aware of when you, when when somebody comes and goes, what it costs you.
Mhm.
But I suppose we'll know it's that year that.
Well,
that
I mean, I
happened.
think clerk workshops and conventions, I mean, obviously that's a training expense.
Yep,
And,
and so that's the right place to put training, like, just add
okay,
training
so
to the
are you,
wording.
is 5,000 an acceptable number for you?
So you're gonna remove it from training,
Remove it from
mileage,
the-
and supplies?
We're gonna change that to mileage and supplies.
Yep. Okay, and then put but you're gonna leave that at 5,000, or just,
That would be nice, but you won't let me do that.
no, that's what I was wondering, that's what I was,
I don't know, it was at 860 before, so I guess
How
I'm
did that end
I'm
up at
open to any
860?
number.
Oh, it must have been additional supplies, because it was at 460 previously.
I think
so,
it was, yeah.
So, yeah, why don't, I think the extra 5,000-ish should go into workshops and conventions, which is currently 755, so,
Make that 57, 55?
yeah, we can do that.
yeah, that sounds easy.
And make the other one, do you wanna leave it at 860?
I mean, if that was recommended, I can only assume it's because of supplies, so I don't think we should change that.
The supplies,
What facts do we have to
added
take?
some money in there to cover food for election workers.
Oh, right,
Good idea.
that's what that, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's Boston's budget on that?
They have a restaurant. They're catered.
Yeah, they have
Catered
some
by
catered.
Allen's.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we're gonna use the Hanover Chop House in there.
So,
Go Dana.
so I think that's fine to leave it the way that it was set.
860.
And then, if you think Avatar itself is gonna be 5,000, then I would actually suggest that we say 6,000 for the line item. Because there's gonna be additional workshops, conventions, trainings beyond that.
Let me just say
in
this, I
what's
hope
there.
I'm wrong,
But,
you know.
So that's where Avatar goes in the clerk workshops and,
well, because we're gonna
Did they
add
run-
training to it.
oh,
Because it's
okay.
We're gonna
obviously
have to
training.
title
So,
it.
okay, so
Yeah.
Avatar's gotta train the people.
Yeah.
All right.
So I would say that should actually be 6 instead of 57.55.
6 even.
Yeah. I don't wanna say that, but I think we need to.
Well,
be
if we don't
realistic.
spend it, we can always put it back in the budget.
It's very nice that it goes back into the
The fund.
fund
balance.
balance. Okay. Are there other sections to look at?
Bear with me 1 second. The other section, and I haven't done it yet,
I thought the answer was gonna be no when I said, are there any other budget or warrant article items?
I can
We were
remove
hoping.
probably
We brought
25,000
him.
from the insurance line.
What'd you
Oh,
say?
yes.
Where's that?
I can move
What
probably
page is that?
25,000.
And that's the help.
As soon as I find it, Dee, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay, okay.
nice
It's on
when
page
paying attention.
16. And it would be coming from the health insurance because
Yeah, the various insurances,
we,
yeah.
Now, why can you remove that? Why can you
Because
change?
the present clerk is, we don't have that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I got you, okay. So we're gonna end up putting that where?
That's gonna reduce that line by about $20,000 roughly.
Well, it'll probably go back into the extra training.
So, I mean,
Yes.
you're not gonna.
Just saying.
You're not gonna win
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, that's for sure,
Right.
but it's
Things
more
are different.
realistic.
They're not cheaper, but they're different.
And I just wanna look at the fire
And once we kind of, are we like
Oh,
to the
that's special.
point
That's not
where, are we going, is this gonna kind of do it?
I'm hoping that we are almost done,
Right,
you know? There's always last minute, you have actually up until the end of February to put it, but you really want it done before the, public hearing.
yes.
But it
And,
can change after the public hearing
it
if
can.
somebody,
It can.
somebody,
Yeah, we can change based on
Yeah.
public feedback,
Yeah,
that's the
right.
point.
so I guess I was thinking something changed in the fire department, but I guess not. So I think, with the exception of your town clerk, stipend, I think we're more or less there.
yahoo.
Yeah, well, we should ask what the, I think as a placeholder, we should put the previous warrant articles salary number into the operating budget. And then when the written, is it 3 or 2? 3, that says to see if the town will vote to establish compensation, the amount of whatever for the town clerk, that also mention that it will be, and amend the budget, which we'll do in 4, to remove the
Okay, so-
funding.
So you were saying the 2019, the amount from the 2019 warrant article, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I don't remember what that
35,000
number
something
is,
or other, yeah.
but there was a specific number, and so if we use that as the baseline that's in here to guarantee we can at least pay something that has been approved by voters,
Yeah.
then we can put forth the warrant article with hopefully I would assume with the town clerk saying, hey, please vote for this.
Yeah, right.
We're assuming we'll have one.
So, well, we'll have one by then. We will know who got elected.
No, that's true, right, exactly, by the town meeting.
Of course, they don't take, people that get elected, they don't take, they're in office until after the town meeting's done.
Correct. But they can at least, we will know who it is.
So they can
and
plead their
They can
case.
stand up and
Yeah.
say, hey,
Yeah.
this is what I would like to see
Okay.
happen. I did get elected and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Anything more on that from me?
I think the 2019 warrant article even had something weird about like open hours.
Yes.
Which I don't think were actually, like, there was an argument that we could say that because of we are to provide place and time is included in place, but I don't know that we can actually say that, so,
I think that's a little murky.
You
I
can't,
appreciate that that's not in the new warrant article, I just wanted to point it out as a,
You know,
as
I
a
think that,
difference.
I mean, the town clerk works for the citizens.
Right.
And, you know, it's, the citizens will let that person know if they're not open enough hours. Because, especially if they wanna get elected again,
yeah, that's the truth.
you know?
So, all right. Any other questions or comments on this?
No, sir.
Gaining.
All right. I guess my own, have we seen all of the reviews that we need?
I've got them, I've got reviews for later at the
Okay.
meeting. Yeah,
Yep, I saw those.
yeah.
And
And
is that?
I don't have Steve's yet,
Okay.
but I know he's working on it as we now speak.
On the,
Personnel reviews. Yeah,
you'll have them,
yeah.
should have for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Just trying, we'll wait for Rich to come back from Florida.
Because then we can do all of that and approve all of this stuff for starting.
Yep.
Oh, so we're not gonna go over them?
Well, you're
Some
gonna go
of
over
it.
some of them.
Okay.
I'm hoping, maybe I might move to the police department, because then I could go to Florida.
Okay, so.
What happens at the police department stays at the police department.
Yeah, I guess so. It should anyway. We don't wanna know.
No.
Well, that moves us to the budget, which we just covered, and budget hearing schedule.
February 7th is what we had said, so
Mhm.
that was an easy thing to resolve. And that's, Mike is available that date.
Right, because we were waiting to make sure that he was gonna be available.
And that's at 7 PM.
That's March. February.
Should we do 7 or 6:30?
6:30.
I would, there's the common balance here, is it's often been a little bit later to make sure that it's easier for people to get to. So that would argue towards 7. However, our normal meetings have been 6:30, and the fact that, actually, there will be another warrant article. The other warrant article is gonna have to be the community power, which will be put forth, I assume, by the select board if we vote for it.
I meant to
after
ask you
our
about
other
that,
public
yes, you're
hearings.
right. But I think I better
And
write
so,
that
I don't know if we will necessarily vote as a community aggregation committee for electric aggregation committee, where the energy committee was appointed that, after our public hearing tomorrow, or whether we would have another meeting afterwards to discuss it and do that. But one of those things should happen. We probably will have some sense of it after tomorrow's meeting, and then we should be able to move forward with appropriate language to put on the warrant
Okay,
article.
all right, yeah, I meant to ask you about that, thanks for reminding me. Also, just getting back to the warrant articles, I have talked to Neil about the way that the transfer station is structured. And what the CIP committee found this year that we need to do a better job is communication, and to kind of, we don't have anyone in our committee, and that committee is really not that effective.
Correct.
The way it is now, and it would
Which
take about.
everybody who resigned said they resigned because it was no longer doing what it was
Right.
supposed to do.
Really?
Right. So Neil and I have talked about that, and he might mention it, but they're not ready to put a warrant article on their warrant, so this year it won't happen. But we do need to follow up on that and decide how it's going to work.
You mean so that the committee itself,
com-
like, for example, granted, I still think it's very
It's what?
cost-effective
Oh.
sharing
Mhm.
this town, I don't
Oh,
think.
yeah,
But it's the
definitely.
fact they kinda come to you. And I also think that it sounds like there was some little loopholes here and there that, or missed calculations we needed to pay to begin with, but,
Well, so there's two things. One is the communication way for budgeting and a back and forth that in theory should be happening a bit
yeah.
more. And.
At least we'd be aware,
But that's,
right?
that's only a reason, or I should say, that's only an issue because the committee was what was supposed to be doing all of the budgeting and the oversight, which was both towns' representatives in that committee, and they are not. It's being handled by the Department of Public Works over in Hopkinton, which is fine. It's more cost-effective. It's all good, but that's why everything broke, and it's actually not the way that the warrant articles and the documents all say
We're
it's
supposed to
supposed to
read,
run.
yeah, okay.
Which is why we're in this funky state, and we're trying to fix it, but
Neil
I guess they
mentioned,
won't.
there was a gentleman that was on the committee from Hopkinton, and he was very proactive in communicating with everybody with what was happening. So, and he is no longer on the committee, in fact, I think he passed away. So there's been a real void there between the committee and the town and what's really happening. And now that we're talking about that, it kind of makes me think the operating budget also needs some more attention. Because we've got, I think we are short we just got the latest bill, the last quarter bill. We had $18,000 left, which was encumbered, and I think the bill came to 30-something thousand.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Was it a double bill again?
I don't think so, but
Were
I'll
we
get more.
expecting that 30,000? I thought the last payment, unless I'm getting confused, the last planning board meeting, they said we were gonna get a bill for 30,000.
That was, and what you were talking, I'm talking about the operating budget, which is the quarterly bill we pay, for the CIP is what I think you're thinking of.
Right.
The
Or-
CIP is buying equipment and stuff like that, the operating is other, but maybe
Oh.
I will have better figures.
Just so I know that that's the number, it's just kinda
Yeah,
weird, it's
because
the same one.
Because we basically make an agreement with the budgeting based on projections, and that's the way that it's always
When I
been.
remember
Been
when you
done.
had your meeting, your joint meeting with the, with the,
Yeah,
was it their budget committee or was it their
Yeah.
select board? And I don't remember those figures being that way, so I'll have more on that. Wendy kind of was in my ear about it, and I should have.
well,
really-
the figures presented at that point in time would have matched whatever our other payments have been previously. And so they can't just suddenly change a payment without.
Well, wouldn't they be, when they develop their, isn't this how it works? When they develop their budget, for the total cost, we
Then
know
they're
we're
supposed to tell
responsible
us
for
so
a quarter
that we
of it,
can
yeah,
account for it and
Yeah.
put it in the budget.
yeah.
Yeah, get to the bottom of that, because there's a little bit of
Yeah.
stuff going on that people were like, well, we should have known, and we just ignoring it, and
Well, and that's what, I think we're all in agreement that we need to do
communication
better
is
with that.
better, yeah.
Cause that's why, is Neil Cass coming for that?
He wants to talk to you
Talking
about the
dump.
transfer station.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm always nervous when he said, I'd like to come talk about the transfer station.
Well,
But he needs to come.
Well, we can talk to him about the
Yeah.
transfer station.
Yeah. The other thing is, I'm just wondering about with the electric, the
my-
setup that they're gonna put up on that property, and it's mostly gonna be in Webster. I wonder if that has something to do with it too.
He wants to talk to you about the lagoons as well.
So please do two things. Please make sure that we have invited the
CIP.
CIP/planning board members. And if we know he's talking about the lagoons, also the Conservation Commission.
Okay, thank you. I had thought about doing that, but I want to tell you first.
And at least one person that doesn't cover that was previously on their committee would be Barbara Corliss, so please invite her as well.
Barbara's on CIP.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. So then I think that does cover everybody that was on the previous commission or committee there. But that way we've at
And I'm
least
sure
told
they'd be-
everybody that they're attending, and we can get all of our questions
Craig
and
asked me if
comments
he
from
could
town.
have, I got him a copy of the Hopkinton CIP. He asked me if he could have that, so Neil was very gracious and sent it over to me. And I sent it to Craig, so he's been
Perfect.
studying it.
All right. Let's see, I better put this in here so I don't forget.
on the February seventh?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was,
7 PM?
yeah, so we'll have a select board meeting the night before.
Yes.
The night before will be a regular meeting.
That's what I,
so,
Steve will tell you how many of us
so we
he's
were in
made.
the process of talking about time, so do we wanna go with 6:30 to allow for more time for discussion? Or do we wanna go with 7 and hope that it'll go through pretty smoothly?
The only thing I say about 7 is that people that work out of town, they'll have time to have supper and stuff and not be,
Right.
crazy. So that's the only reason I think 7 would be.
That's
in
why
my
I
eyes.
generally like 7.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
that's.
find people.
But because we're gonna be dealing with the general stuff like we normally do with
Yeah,
budgets.
yeah.
We've got the budget reorganization thing that we'll be explaining to people. Then we'll have the usual CIP type stuff. And then we're also going to have the town clerk stuff, which I'm sure there will be plenty of comments for.
That this is the public hearing we're gonna
Yeah,
have.
because
yeah,
we always
yeah.
go through all the warrant
Yeah, right,
articles.
right, exactly.
And then we're also gonna have the various credits and exemptions for taxation, which aren't normally there, so I'm sure there'll be comments and questions.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we're also gonna have the community power stuff. So I expect it's gonna, I
Yeah,
expect
well,
that it'll be a long public hearing for budget compared to what we've normally had.
Well, if you want it, it's up to you, folks. If you wanna start at 6:30, that's, okay too.
In the, I would prefer to start at 7, but I also don't wanna keep people here till like, especially us, until like midnight or 1, just because
Thank you.
people are asking the
Yeah.
intricate questions on things, so,
So leave it at,
so I
put it
think,
at 6:30?
I think 6:30 makes sense.
All right, yeah, makes sense.
Oh, and there's of course also gonna be discussion about the zoning thing with the floods. So that's
Oh.
gonna make it even longer too, because no one's gonna understand that or why
That-
we
Of
have
course
to do
not,
it.
I don't think the
Oh,
government
flooding,
understands it,
yes,
but
the
besides
floodplain.
that,
So yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of topics that if people actually show up, where I would expect lots of questions and comments.
questions, right.
Which
No, I hate
they
to
should
ask
be
this
asking.
stupid question. Do we have, what happens if it's a snow date? What happens if it's really snowing? Should we put another date on there?
We generally don't put a snow date on ours, but we can open a meeting and say due to weather,
Oh,
we're
yeah, we
gonna,
could postpone
whatever,
it.
at a different date.
One of the things I've been mindful of, because you have to have your public hearings within a certain amount of
right,
time.
yeah.
So you're at, kind of at the beginning there, so in the event we had a snow problem and had to cancel, or in the event you have your public hearing and the budget changes significantly and you need
have to
another
another
public
one,
hearing
yeah.
to, so, there's a 2
So
week.
we're safe, so we're
So I
safe.
think that's,
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so if it's bad, we would, 2 of us would come
Yeah.
here along with Mike, we'd open the meeting and then postpone it to a previous,
Yeah.
or
Better, yeah.
what's it's not tabling, but we would basically suspend the meeting
Yeah.
until a further date.
Reschedule it, yeah,
And then we would announce that date, but
okay.
Yeah.
Of course, I would like the winter to be like it is now, so this is great.
D,
I'm
No,
not,
we
I'm
don't.
not really happy
We
with a
don't.
winter with no snow
Hi.
in general,
And
but this year it's been super convenient.
Yeah, really.
no.
One of my Christmas presents was cross-country ski.
Yeah, how's that working?
Oh,
So,
wow.
Obviously, I'm not going very far yet.
That's true.
Okay. So, that moves us on to personnel policy.
Yes, and you have approved the personnel policy, and I sent you the updated book that I'm going to be sending out to employees, and when I was working on the book, I discovered I hadn't had you sign that document.
God,
Oops,
I don't know that I
I
can.
need a black pen.
I was reading it again, and I'm like, oh, good, I hope they don't share that with anybody that works for me.
I was gonna email it down to all your employees.
Oh, God.
I know. Have beside you what?
It's bad enough that there's New Year's Day, that's a wasted holiday. You
Okay.
haven't had to sign anything tonight.
Is that the only thing for this?
That's all I need for that.
Oh, that was good.
So then there's town clerk update.
So this part of the town clerk update, I wanna talk to you about appointing someone to be an assistant town clerk to take, to be available and have access to ElectionNet. And Nancy Webster is the person that we have asked to do that.
Okay.
And she has agreed to do that. And so I was hoping,
No, Nancy, I'm terrible. with
Nancy
names.
is on the supervisors of the
So she
checklist.
sits over in the corner when they,
Yeah,
No.
tall.
oh, yeah,
blonde.
okay, yeah, okay,
Kind of a, yeah, blonde.
Blonde, tall,
Yeah.
married to Marty Bender.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, she
And-
wants to
Hell
be the
very well.
assistant, Nancy wants to be the assistant, not the town clerk?
Well.
No, this is a
yes.
little different thing. Basically,
Oh, okay.
I'm taking the town clerk absence in chunks. I do the biggest crisis at first. So what I need first is for someone to be able to take the, you know, sign people up to run for offices.
Oh, okay. all right.
And, you know, obviously, they probably can do it with us. The Secretary of State's office has been very helpful, with this. But this is just so that we can have someone who is, we don't have access, Russ and I don't have access to obviously don't have to the election records, so
Ah.
we need someone
You
that does.
don't?
Yeah, and you don't want us to.
No.
And we don't want to, so that all works out great. So I'm hoping that you'll consider appointing Nancy Webster as Assistant Town Clerk. It's all in the title, which will expire in 2023 at the election.
Sounds good to me.
And you can appoint any number of Assistant Town Clerks.
Oh, we can have more than one?
And
Somebody told me I can't have more than one assistant.
And
No.
it should be noted that, because I'm sure the question will come up, that clerk and supervisor of the checklist are considered to be incompatible positions by the statutes, and so you're not allowed to hold both of them. However, that is one of the reasons why is the Attorney General?
it's the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State
Yeah.
has said that the way to do this and to handle it is to specifically do a assistant town clerk for this purpose.
Okay.
Because that would be okay in the situation, and that is guidance from the state on how to comply with their own rules.
Yep, and moving
So-
forward while we're going through this exercise.
Yeah,
Yep, okay.
all right.
So,
And also, it would be someone who, if people ask for absentee ballots, and.
would also be able to
Yeah,
handle
things
that.
like that.
Okay,
Oh.
sorry,
No, that's
I had to
fine.
bring a red pen today.
I assume we need a motion, not just a signature.
Probably would be a good idea, and I just realized I'm doing the minutes, aren't I? Okay.
Well, we haven't done much voting.
Yeah, well, that's great.
No, this is your,
That's
Because we
why
haven't
it's-
even
That's
practiced
why it's
that.
great to be able to watch it, yeah.
So, I would move that we appoint Nancy Webster as the Assistant Town Clerk for the purposes as previously mentioned and recommended by the state.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I'm not sure who's gonna swear her in, but I have a feeling it's you, one of you.
That makes sense. Actually,
Or the moderator.
I think usually it's the clerk or moderator.
I think that the select board also can
We
do it.
probably can.
But
I
I guess.
actually did it at the previous election, but I did it because I had been deputized or something by Mike already because of my position, so, I don't know.
Kinda
Ask
like a
Mike.
dispensation from the Pope.
Ask Mike, he'll be able to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or-
And I'm
or
sure
the
he won't
state.
mind doing it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Either Mike or the state should be able to tell you who does it, and if it's one of us, that's fine.
The only thing I remember swearing in is like if I had a person, like when I had Roy Fangio come and stay here with, instead of me for a while.
Yeah.
I had to have him swear him in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
And
but
you're
I-
very good at that.
that's the same kind of thing.
She's got that down, like Ritika.
Yeah. I just know the right people.
We're
Yeah,
the
you
suckers being here all day,
yeah,
trying to do it, you know.
It's a long day.
It is, no, I get it. Dave.
Which I will have to talk to Mike about, because of course, the presumption by everybody seems to be that I will also be running in this election, so. I
There's
will
no
have to be-
presumption.
I would have to be very careful about what I would be doing at the election.
Isn't that just a fact?
If I'm also on it.
Better be a fact.
Well, it can't be a fact yet, because we can't sign up, we don't have a clerk.
Well, we just solved that problem, my friend.
It's also
And it-
not the dates yet.
Okay.
And you can walk across the street and get sworn in. Mike can do it.
So, I guess that covers the town clerk update for this portion. Is there anything else you wanna say about town clerk before we move on?
No.
Do we have numerous people that signed up, or?
You were gonna be discussing at your meeting with the
None.
people that have shown interest, yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's worth putting on public record how many people have applied or given us some?
3.
Three, okay.
That's good.
That is very good. Okay, so that moves us on to new business, the select board questionnaire.
Now, you did this last year, and I'm sure that you enjoyed it. This is for our audit that will be coming up. The auditors will be here on April 4th.
See, this is what I get for not having time to read through everything.
It's
Why don't you have time for that?
It's basically asking questions. They're very interested in
Oh, there.
fraud.
Oh, yeah.
And codes of ethics and so forth.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to do it now, but how would you like to do it?
I mean, it's just like it was last year.
It's the same question.
Yeah, is there any reason we,
Did they just, I can't remember, did they send a PDF form of it to you, an email or
Yes, they
something?
did. Would you like me to send that out?
If you just forward that to me, that's how I'd like to deal
Okay.
with it.
and we'll just answer it that way?
Well, is it for all of,
Or
do
do
we
you just
each
get to
do
do
it, or is it?
Well, you're signing as chairman, and I know last year you kind of had a
okay.
joint discussion on it to make sure you all agree with.
But it's nothing, cause I read through it,
Okay.
it's the same stuff that we did last year.
It's boilerplate.
Yeah.
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 So let's see, it is two pages of very spaced out questions, so let's just go through them. Because if it's only gonna be one person, then that's fine, I can always do it and sign it and send it over, after we've got answers. Do you have knowledge of any fraud or suspicion of fraud affecting your entity, which would be the town?
Yeah, no.
No,
No. Have you received communications from employees, former employees, regulators, or others saying there is fraud?
no,
Have you identified any specific risks of fraud within the entity?
no,
Has the board adopted a universal code of ethics for members and employees to follow? I believe that's part
I
of the
think
that's
personnel
part of
policy,
the, it is,
correct?
it's right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reading that tonight.
If yes, does the document prohibit elected officials and employees from doing business with the town?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
There is a dollar limit that's in RSA's for certain purchases, but no.
I'd have to read what that was, but I would say no on that.
Yeah.
If I were you.
Yeah.
Have you or any related party of yours had interest, direct or indirect, in any of the following transactions or pending and incomplete transactions to which the town or any retirement savings, pension, or other similar plan is or may be a party? Sale, purchase, exchange, or lease of property, receiving or furnishing of goods, services, or facilities, transfer of receipt or of income and assets, maintenance of bank balances or compensation balances for the benefit of another or other similar transactions.
No.
And no.
Nope.
I might have had to answer yes if I hadn't.
Yes, and I
if
was
I hadn't dropped myself.
I was
on
very
the-
glad.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm
right, we
sorry
all
you
would.
lost that
Right, me
opportunity,
too.
but I was very relieved
But
about
if yes,
that.
please describe, then it would have been Selectman and Hemingway bid on
Yeah,
law
something,
property.
Yeah.
right.
And lost. But I never got the bid in, so it's all good. Does the board have any concerns about known related party relationships?
Not that we know of.
Nope.
No.
What kind of relationships are we talking about?
Those are the fun times.
That's right.
What happens in the barn stays in the barn.
That's right.
Does the board formally authorize all disbursements, both vendor and payroll, prior to the release of funds?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what are we always signing? Is there money that flies out that we
So
don't see?
my question on this, and I think we can say yes, but my question on this is what about credit cards? Because we are now paying bills with credit cards.
Mhm.
And we do authorize the payment to the credit card, so the answer technically yes, but
Mhm.
it's also been paid before we authorize it.
Yeah, it's probably not a good policy, but it
So-
depends on due dates and things
Well, I
like
mean,
that,
we've
but-
authorized the type of thing to continue going forward.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but then we do authorize it before payment to the card. So how,
And here's the good news about a credit card. If we really thought there was something that we didn't like,
yeah,
you can always
Well, I mean,
That's the difference with a credit card.
I mean, obviously, I give you everything so that you know what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say we thought, we got it after you paid it, and we said, wait a minute, this isn't, I mean, they're very good at, if we had a good reason, of course, if we thought it was fraudulent or something,
Mhm.
or even not needed. I mean, that one thing about credit cards is they're.
You know, I think though, the answer would actually be, like, the technical answer reading this, I think, has to actually be yes. Because it's formally authorizing all disbursements, which is us from our fund paying somebody, both vendor and payroll, prior to the release of funds. And the answer would be yes, because we're authorizing it before the credit card company gets paid. And we are not dispersing funds via credit card being used. It's a weird way to do things.
Yeah, and really,
but-
what it is the turnaround is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a weird way to do things, but the answer would be yes. I would suggest that you make sure that you talk to the auditors about that situation and if they would like to see something done different. You know,
I can guarantee you they're gonna ask
But-
me about it.
But I think we can safely say yes, and maybe we make a note in it that says, but see credit cards or something of that
And I
nature.
also have talked to him about this because.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that you ran it by
Yeah.
him before
Yeah.
we started doing
Yeah.
it, so. All right, describe how the board stays informed of the latest changes in the laws and regulations pertaining to the town. Well,
Dana tells us.
The grapevine.
Yeah.
so,
Chief Adam shows up.
So I try to watch things, though I don't necessarily say a lot, but we all get all the messages from NHMA, which is constantly updating us on anything pertaining to bills and regulations that may affect towns.
So the publication by New Hampshire Municipal Association,
Yeah,
something like that?
NHMA's, actually, let me go look it up, what the name of it is.
Legislative update,
I think it's just legislative update, but
yeah. I find it fascinating.
I don't see it quickly, but yes, NHMA's legislative update is the easiest way to state it. Does the board review comparative reports of estimated and actual revenues and appropriations and expenditures? Yes. If yes, how often are reports reviewed? Roughly monthly?
Monthly, I would say.
What procedures does the board follow in reviewing or using these reports? For example, does the board normally meet with the department heads as part of this process?
Yes.
It meets with department heads monthly. Has the board approved a disaster recovery plan in the event of loss or interruption of the IT function? No.
No.
It's something that I've wanted to do forever and haven't found time to do. But yes, the answer would be no, and we know that we should be working on one. Though we did ask our new IT consultants to provide us not a specific disaster recovery plan, but various policies that would move towards that.
You know, we need
Which I
to-
don't think we've reviewed yet.
We need to jump on that, but you know, Primex has been doing an awful lot on this subject because of Peterborough, and other
Yeah.
problems.
And I've been to
And I
a
think
couple.
they have a lot of good
I've been to a
information.
couple webinars where Primex and a couple of the other government entities, both federal and state, have said that they will do things like, I mean, we'd have to have a policy first, but they will do things like an audit and whatnot for free, and then help you implement changes that need to.
Yeah, he's been helpful to me, the guy over there, because I've had a few questions on it, and I also do a lot of stuff online with
Mhm.
them. They send you quizzes and things like that, so, and so far I've passed them.
Oh, that's good.
So,
Okay. Good
Yeah.
idea.
So those are the kinds of things, but unfortunately, the answer is no, but we do need to work on that.
Yeah.
Is there a written investment policy adopted? Yes. When was it last reviewed and approved? You've got the dates.
Fairly
You can
recent,
put it
yeah.
in there. that would have, well, it would have been this last year, because we reviewed everything.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Have you adopted the use of either debit or credit cards by employees? Yes. If yes, provide a copy of policy covering that. That's also there. Does the board have knowledge of any funds or bank accounts that are not in the custody of the treasurer? No?
I don't think so.
I mean, the only accounts, which wouldn't be bank accounts, that would not be in the custody of the treasurer that I would know of would be the approved credit cards.
Yeah, credit cards, right.
And the only thing I can think of would be the funds that the trustees of trust funds manage.
Oh, that's fair, yes.
But, it's common.
Yeah, so we should say yes, and the trust funds that are in the trustees of trust funds. Has the board approved fund balance policy in compliance with GASB 54, fund balance reporting and government fund definitions? I don't think so.
No,
I know
no.
we do have fund balance policies. I don't know if they're GASB compliant.
Yes, they are.
They are?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Well, that's good.
And if you ever want to read something, fall asleep, read Gatsby 54.
For each board member, please provide below the years of service and a brief description of the background. For example, Jane Doe, 5 years on board, teacher for 20 years at the high school in the local government. So we can, I guess that's just this board. They've got lots of lines for that.
Oh, my God.
But,
That's if they had
I
five
guess
selectmen,
that would make sense if it were, say, a city council, though.
Yeah, right, with 11 or 12,
So-
well, the school board had 11 people.
But, so, you know what, let's just do it, and then Dana can fill it all out, and then I'll just sign it all afterwards, so, go ahead.
Oh, God. Where do I start? So,
Short, brief.
Yeah, you don't have to name it all.
I don't have to name it
Years
all.
of, years of service and brief background is what they say.
Brief background, oh, boy. Can I, put 5 kids? That's it.
Yeah, right?
And I was on the Merrimack Valley School Board for 30 years. Write my own newspapers for 38 years, most of them, 3 of them, townwide, so I'm in a lot of things. Was a first woman selectman.
How many years have you been on the select board?
3 years one time, and then 1 year I filled in, and now I'm on my 2nd year now. And I'll have 2 more to go.
Six-ish?
If I'm
So
done,
6.
well, it'll be 6 when I'm done.
Well, it would be 7. 'cause of
7,
the
right,
extra
because of
one,
the extra
but
year.
6.
Yeah,
All right, I put 7.
that's okay. That's good.
Background,
High school graduate, that's all my background.
Well, I'm
I would
thinking-
say the 30 years on the.
School board.
I put that in.
Oh, yeah.
I put that in.
And the-
But
I've been in
but
town
I'm trying to
since-
come up, you're a newspaper person, and what's
Yeah.
the term I wanna use for that?
Newspaper publisher,
Thank
writer.
you. Okay.
And I've been doing that for
And reporter.
3 towns, and report, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. So 3 towns, well, 2 towns for 38 years and 1 town for 20-something.
But you were also a reporter before you did.
Yeah, I
your
did,
own.
that's right, I wrote for the Concord Monitor for 11 years, that's what got me started.
So 38 plus 11.
Oh, jeez, that's,
49 years worth of newspaper
That's disgusting.
reporter experience.
now you're really making me feel old. And the only reason I got on is because my brother-in-law drove me crazy. He said, this would be a perfect job for you, go to the Monitor. So I shut him up, I went, and I got the job. But it was interesting, a lot of background in,
I called you a journalist, and I'm sure I
that's a
didn't
good,
spell
that
it
sounds
There you go.
terrific. Plus, I got a lot of, being that way, I got a lot of information on police departments and the whole, because I did all that for the town, and we had pretty good rapport with the Boston Police for a long time in
Active
Webster.
in the witness protection program.
I tell you, I swear we had somebody in Webster in that program.
Really?
And all of a sudden, he disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah, he was living around the corner, and he was a policeman in Boston. I don't know if you would know that. And he,
Well,
and-
we shouldn't.
No,
if
you
it was
can't.
that.
Anyway, he disappeared, but nice people.
It's not in the.
If it was the case, we don't want to talk about it.
All right, so.
Well, I can't follow in those footsteps, so just skip over.
No,
Okay, so you have,
You've
this is
made
your
it through a
third, is it your
year.
third
Right.
year on the select board?
No, second.
Second.
Well, I'm going on to my second.
Yeah, so you've made it
Yes.
through a year.
Well, that's through a
Yeah.
year. Well, let's see, mother of 4, business owner for 32 years.
And that should be select board and planning board.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I'm on the ZBA too, I forgot about that.
all right, I'll add that.
I have something else you can add too, I didn't think about. But go with that young lady over there.
Business owner, 32 years.
And sit on a self-insured board for, well, how old's Kendall, 25 years.
What's the self-insurance?
It's called Comp Sigma for workman's comp,
Okay,
and serve on Timber Council, Timber Harvest Council, a year, and coached basketball and some soccer.
this may come as a surprise, I can't write that fast.
Well, that's about it though, kid, you can catch up. Got 1 speeding ticket. No, just
Just one?
well, I don't know, 2 by 2. But I think, been married for a long time.
What did you think about what did you want to add?
Well, I began the Webster kindergarten, and it ran for 24 years until the school district put in their regular kindergarten. So every kid, I think, went to Webster kindergarten that was in town. Everyone that was eligible went. We had it was neat.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
neat.
neat.
Okay. That leaves you, Dave.
Years of service, 3 select board and a couple years prior on planning board and energy committee. My background is IT consulting. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
That's fine. You tell
I'm
me.
trying to catch up. If they can read this, they're gonna be amazing.
I wonder if they really do.
Really?
Let's be honest,
I wondered the same
right?
thing.
Okay.
Maybe they're
I'm
bored.
ready for your background.
Okay, so let's start with government and enterprise IT consulting.
Okay.
Technical training. I was actually a trainer and an educator for a while.
Hey, if you ever get bored, you'll be a teacher again.
I could.
Yes?
I don't have any teaching certificates, because it was all like classes and like, come learn this software or this networking
You
stuff.
can always
But
get a certificate.
unfortunately, that takes a while in a lot of education. Let's see, where was I going from there? About 10 years as a software and quality engineer. I guess the years don't matter at this point.
I
for
put it
that
in.
stuff.
It sounds good.
Sounds good, right? What the heck? So who's gonna read all
And Family
this?
Guy.
That's important. That's important.
Um,
So who's
Race
gonna
car
read-
driver.
Yeah,
They're just little.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, you know, we actually.
I kinda like that.
Actually, we should put it in, because I'm a regional team manager for RC Racing Team.
Okay, regional team.
Regional team manager for a racing team. There we go.
Now, look at the amount of education up here.
That's impressive, I'm telling you. Not bad for a small town.
Right? Just kidding.
And someone even knows how to tell us to run it all.
Right?
Gotta have
Dave
somebody that's got a
Hathaway, also
successful
known as
business.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
What was that?
also known as Dave Andretti. Okay.
Well, the fun part, not associated with that, while that gets ready to be signed. And our chief of police will appreciate this. And when I was growing up in Massachusetts, there was a big push towards getting people who had new licenses to go through defensive driving courses. And So, you're supposed to go sign up for this with the state or whatever, trainers, et cetera. Go do your test things, just like if you've lost a license and so on. And, get your board training and then like do it, maybe like an hour worth of something. So, of course, this was me, so I found a much more entertaining way to get my defensive driving, which certified the whole thing and insurance liked it and everything. I became an autocross driver. The training for the autocross
wow.
training counted
Yeah.
as defensive driving training because you learned how to deal with the car in all the situations it shouldn't be in.
But
Go around
you laugh, but I don't think sometimes, I'd say this all the time, even the other morning when Kara was leaving and it was really, really icy. And, as people enter out on the road, the amount of time that some of us living where we live are so fortunate. Yeah, I mean, my kids are down and beating cars and smashing them up and derbies and four-wheelers and tractors and, and you feel fortunate that you get to teach them that because you're going out on the road and you gotta know how to handle if somebody cuts you off, you hit black ice, we actually had that conversation. What do you do with, I know it, cause one of Kara's friends like, well, my car's new and I'm not sure how it'll handle black ice, and my daughter goes, well, how's any car gonna handle black ice? It ain't gonna be pretty. It really needs to be the dude behind the wheel, right?
That's right.
So, but interesting, then I can see why they accepted that, cause I really feel like, there's not more of that out there.
There's more crazy drivers on the road, I
Yeah,
can tell you that
absolutely.
much.
And they,
Yeah,
like,
nuts.
I was watching a special, and I cannot believe it was on Good Morning America, and I'll make this short. And they were talking about driving a big tractor trailer and how many blind spots there is. Now, usually we're the ones that are always the bad guy, right? We are. You cut the car off or whatever. Well, I learned in our RV that we have, even though I've ridden in the big trucks with my husband, but is people love to get around you,
Yeah.
pull in front of you, and slow down. And they said that right on Good Morning America. They said they can't even see you when you do that. So, thank you. I can't believe the media actually gave one up for the guys in the
Especially
big
now.
trucks.
Yep.
You know?
That's the thing, but there's other things where people who don't wanna put their names and business on a car because other people look for crashing into them and saying it's their fault.
Right.
So they can, it's just,
Yep.
I don't know, I tell you, I see drivers, I just wonder, what in the heck? And I love it going to Concord too.
There
Out
are
there
a lot of
listen-
drivers that maybe shouldn't be.
And then there's people that at night, they're in Concord and they're all dressed in black and they're running off across the road, it's like, what are these
Is
people?
that ready for a second?
Yes,
It is.
ready to sign it.
Did you wanna read it?
Did you make me look good?
Can I?
Yes, you can,
Well, then it's better than my writing.
you know.
See, if I wrote it, they wouldn't be able to know what I was saying.
Oh, each one of
Oh,
us
it's on the
gets
back.
one? No.
Oh, no, that's just a page.
Oh, that's the
Yeah,
first
we-
page.
He just needs to sign it.
Yeah,
We don't have to sign
and then
it.
I'll just hold it in my audit stuff and give to.
I mean, look at that, it's not due until April. This is really unlike anything
Wow,
I
this
ever
is-
do.
You know, I am trying to turn over a new leaf.
Good.
I don't think it's
Well,
gonna be
we
possible.
well, we
but,
never know we're gonna find on the other side either, do we?
You know,
Hey, at least you're still laughing and you're still here. That's good. That's really good. And we're still laughing and you're still here.
well, you have to,
There we go.
we're
Alright.
funny when we do what we do.
That's
So,
right.
the stories have allowed us to sign and not have to see that again.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, that moves us on to abatements.
Abatements, yes, that's more campground stuff. Russ was gonna talk to you about that, but since you're not here, Russ.
Yeah, really, it's hard to talk.
These are, again, the campground's a nightmare when it comes to those. No, they're no longer there,
Yeah, right.
so they
Just think
say.
of the nightmare they must have, trying to in
Reason
and out,
left
in
the
and out.
campground. Okay.
Yeah, and here's the other part of it. If you have a house and you don't pay your taxes, I mean, we end up with it.
Yeah, right.
But in this case, we don't have anything to lien.
I can't remember,
Yeah, that's
are we supposed to make a motion on this or just sign it?
I think the signature's fine.
Okay.
This is a question I didn't think I'd ever really ask, but why don't we make it more the campground's responsibility?
Because the state law makes it ours.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, he's
do.
the one that would be able to collect the money.
And
Like
actually,
you said, we
Bill's
got
pretty good
nothing.
about talking with Russ about who's there, who's not there, and every time we send tax bills out, every time.
And what's the amount of time that they have to be stationed?
Well, it's supposed to be as of April first. Do I believe that it was as of April first? Not for a minute. However, I have nothing to prove otherwise. That's,
The other thing for like why it's us is because we are the entity that does property tax. And we tax the property of the campground, but when the campground allows somebody to set up as a residence, a camper,
Yeah,
and it's fine, and it's just them collecting their whatever monthly, yearly, whatever, if it's registered. But if there's property associated, either by it not being maintaining registration, or by adding onto the side of it, such as decks and so on, then that's the town's responsibility to collect, because it's now property that we're supposed to tax.
But who tells
And so
us,
it gets, that's why it's all weird, and we see this all the time.
but who tells us that, who tells the town that, to go in there, do we have to, does that, we
The
have to
assessors
wait?
go
The
there.
assessors have to
Oh, we
look
do,
at
they
it.
go every time, oh jeez, what a pain.
kinda makes you think of like a
Yep.
a apartment though, they don't get taxed, people, but I suppose they don't own anything about that apartment,
Yeah,
so,
well,
except the stuff in it.
if you, for example, had an apartment and your landlord allowed you to put a solar array on the side of your balcony or something like that, you technically the homeowner, or sorry, technically the renter that put the solar on would be the one with the solar property, but chances are it would just be, we see, the assessors would be, we see solar, it's part of the property and it's on the building, so we're
Right.
giving it to the rental company,
Yeah.
and they'd probably just be, oh, we got a higher tax bill.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, that moves us to timber tax.
yes, this is where Marlo comes in.
Moving right along.
So this is, I guess, a report of woodcut, and, Russ has filled it out, so there's this, and then warrant for the tax collector, and I guess this is the bill. Oh, and this,
And this is another one of those, just, we sign it so that we get the
Yeah.
funds, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
Let's see. They're all the same, yes, they're all the same thing. And, oh, there's multiple things for us to sign though. And, so the total tax collection is, 2672 and change. Oh, and this is
that's
just.
the worksheet, yeah.
This is the worksheet with details that you will probably care about.
And as you know, once we collect that, it gets transferred to the Conservation Commission.
Timber tax doesn't, land use change.
I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. Yep, you're right. Must be my bedtime.
Yeah, I think we said that's all, right? Yeah.
This one.
I like this. Thank you, sorry.
That's right.
Jeez. You're so smart.
Same thing. All right, and that moves us on to correspondence.
I wonder where I put that.
Correspondence?
Yeah. Be with me one moment, please, all right. I thought I had this correspondence.
Yeah, I thought that was one that you forwarded. I'm looking for it now.
Yeah.
or that I was
As soon
CC'd
as you
on, I
find
should
out
say.
what it is, will you tell me?
You
Well,
have all
that
those
was
nice
the,
folders.
I know, I got too many of them.
At least the one that I know about was, the letter for corrections, but that was mostly towards planning board discussions, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. I thought I
I'm
had
not
received
seeing
one
it right
today I
now.
was gonna talk to you about, but maybe that.
Oh, was that the FEMA?
Well, there was that, there was the FEMA thing, but,
So there was a request to Dana and I to provide contact information to someone that we're not sure is an accurate person or not, so Dana's gonna check. For providing basically our contact information for the new FEMA and floodplain stuff
yeah.
going forward.
Okay, I think I'm imagining things, okay.
That's the one thing that
Yeah.
those are the two things I remember.
Yeah, so I did not really receive anything correspondence.
I can't wait for this next one.
Let's see, did we have? And we haven't gotten an update from the solar stuff yet, cause that was last quarter. So not correspondence, but I don't have I guess I'll bridge it with the public comment portion, which is next, of which we have a semi-public, person sitting right here.
There's nobody here?
But, so I'll bridge into it with, I went to the, joint meeting of all of the, select board, city councils, and the Merrimack Valley School District, board and superintendents. Primarily, they were talking about things that happened and, their budgeting going forward. And they've published their standard operating budget and so on, and we talked about that, went through the line items. The overall is that it's up a bit over $1 million for the operating budget, which is 2 and something percent. That is their expectation of raise in the operating budget. Of that, about 80% of that is towards special education and special education needs. Both uniqueness and number of cases has been increasing. Of the remaining 20%, the majority of it is insurance increases. Overall, their insurance lines went up 11.1%. They hammered in the 11.1% on like every single section for line items, so that's why I remember it.
I was gonna say, that was pretty good.
And so that's what we know from the budgeting aspect of it. What we don't know, and will be an additional warrant article for even more increase, is we're in the process of finalizing an increase for collective bargaining agreement that did not know numbers and could not share anything because it hadn't been finalized. They will have that by their public hearing for it, which I should have had the date in front of me to announce, but it's later this month, I think. And is it the 27th? It might be the 27th. Let me see if I've actually got it listed. I don't. I think it's the 27th, but don't quote me on that. Go look it up if you're interested. It's gonna be right on their website. But that will be an additional amount that'll be a percentage on top of it for whatever that collective bargaining agreement is.
I noticed that there was a statement that they made, and and again, communication's the hardest thing that any of us do, and I'm certainly guilty as the next person. And I'm just making a statement, if there's something we can think of to, I think, communicate better, it would be great. I wish, I don't know, I was not aware of this meeting until you mentioned it.
Well, right.
And,
So they sent the save the date, like sometime in the summer. I sent it out to the board and you and stuff
Okay,
back
well, I guess
then.
I-
We noted it and think I mentioned it last month to the board, saying, hey, this was coming up.
I
And
do remember
the
you
board
saying
had
something.
agreed that we wanted to go to it, so I kept sending more information over, but.
Well, I mean, it could be me. you know.
But in any case, I don't know if you were on the mailing directly or not from Mark.
I know in the
the-
past, Mark has sent me an email, and that's why,
Yeah.
and I know he's busy, and I get it, I'm in the same boat. Probably he's in a deeper boat than I am, but.
So the other update that many people may not be aware of is Mark is finishing up. He will not be the superintendent any longer. He's retiring from that, or retiring. The current assistant superintendent, Randy, has been elected by their board to become the new superintendent and just continue forward. So there shouldn't be any oddities in direction and being able to apply and make things happen.
I will say I have a very nice relationship with your financial, Hillary, in your financial.
Been
The,
Encore?
for the
Yeah.
purposes of our police chief, in the past, there have been Knox boxes for the fire department to be able to access, both in emergency and because it's now our emergency shelter. They've been installing, and I don't know if you've done it yet here.
They're all in.
Okay, they've
They're all in.
installed all of the
We have the
boxes to
codes to
allow
get into them.
access to police and so on. And we do have the procedures for being able to use it as an emergency shelter if need be. That actually goes through our emergency management coordinator, which is Rob.
Yep.
And so we have everything in place to do that and access the building, whether they're there or not, to do it at this point.
Which is pretty cool for a small town,
Yeah.
really.
So, yeah, good stuff there. Any further public comment? So that moves us to meeting minutes, motions, and signing of documents as per usual. Let me scroll down here to find this stuff again.
Dana, do you have a PO?
What's that?
Did you have a PO for the floor?
You know, I didn't do yours, I should have,
Okay.
but I'll do it. This was for the carpet?
You have to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, you can go forward with it, but since I don't have a bill yet, that's when.
Okay. I'll get all that, so I'll bring it up.
Okay, I meant to do it, I had a million to do
Okay.
for Emmett.
I know.
So, oh, that was because it was denied, okay, that makes sense. No encumbrances, okay, so that won't be me. That makes sense, all right. So, looking at meeting minutes, I guess I will first say, the first one that we have, that we had postponed because we weren't all there to vote on it, was the December 19th meeting minutes. And for one particular item, nope, not there. Okay,
You're gonna need me for the minutes.
that's a different one. So, was there anything that, for the others, the signings and stuff?
No, we're just gonna have a PO made, and I'll get the bill and have that for the next meeting,
Okay.
for the floor.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much for
Everyone's
coming.
good?
Yeah, quiet.
Yes, I like it that way.
It's
So
nice.
did anybody see anything that they wanted to change for the December 19th meeting minutes?
I reviewed all of them. They looked good, except this.
Okay, so I would move that we accept the December 19th meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that moves us to the meeting for encumbrance requests, which I was not able to make. So that would be the two of you.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the encumbrance. Is that right to say that way?
The meeting minutes from December 29th.
All right, the meeting minutes from September 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And an abstain. And let's see. Then we have the non-public, which appears to have happened after that. So I will read it, but again, I was not present, so.
Oh, go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Would be the non-public session minutes for
Yeah.
December 29th.
Make a motion to accept the non-public minutes on December 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With an abstain. All right, then we have our last meeting, which was January 3rd. Checking for one thing that I know has come up a few times. I don't think it was that meeting, but I want to double check. Okay, yeah. And then we also had the non-public session for January 3rd as well. So, oh, what's this one? Oh, for afterwards, okay. So I would move that we, is there any changes or suggestions for either the public or non-public for January 3rd?
No.
No.
I would move that we accept the January 3rd public and non-public session minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and I believe that ends that section. Do we have signing or motions for trustees?
We have no motions for trustees with our new method of doing business. I do have some things for you to sign. And these are purchase orders that I've done for Emmett. These were all encumbered funds from his encumbrances. No wonder I didn't use these, because I had Emmett's all after me.
Start there and send it back to me.
Okay, we'll start there and send them back.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, things to sign. Yeah, because we need to sign them.
Yeah, because these are the ones, stuff we already talked about.
Those are the ones that you approved at the encumbrances. The only one that is slightly more than what was encumbered, but it's just a small amount with it.
Knowing that 2 is enough, and I wasn't at the meeting, I think I'm just gonna let you two
Oh,
sign.
okay.
Not in support of it, because I'm sure, it's all good, but,
It's not nice on this thing.
Gotta do it correctly. That sounds good.
I mean, if one of you weren't here, I'd do it, because we've got the notes to say that it was
Right.
done, but. Are there any other things to sign afterwards?
No.
All right. 2 more things. And so I know that we will be entering non-public for at least the reviews and for the possible, I guess it would fall under possible hiring, even though it's not really, because it would be personnel.
Yeah, it's for the town clerk applications that you've received.
And so.
And it would be personnel now because it's not, not
Okay.
elected, yeah.
So it would be under personnel for the appointment
Yeah.
and deciding that and the discussions. So for the purposes of anybody that's watching, after that, we would come out and I assume if we come to a decision, make a motion to appoint a specific individual out of the applicants that have been received. But we would not have a recording or stream of that, so they would need to look at the minutes to see that. And then we would immediately adjourn after that motion. So which one shall we go into first?
So I will go shut off the tape.
Well, we need to motion to go into this stuff, but, do we wanna do?
Well, they're both,
reviews first? I guess it's both
RSA
personnel,
90,
right?
yeah, they're both the same.
All right, so I would
RSA.
move at 8:28 that we go into non-public session regarding personnel.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'll go kill the thing.
Don't kill yourself on that.
No, not me, the thing.
Oh, I know.
He doesn't let you touch that.
It's not.